and welcome to Little Learners. In today's video we're going to be exploring childhood development from age 8 to 20 months. This is the second part of a series of videos exploring child development from birth to age 5. To do so I'll be using the Development Matters document. You can find that linked in the description box below. I'll be going through each area of the Early Years Foundation Stage framework and talking about what we look for in children of different ages and stages. You will notice with these videos that there is an overlap of age. So for example, the first video focused on birth to 11 months and this one focuses on 8 to 20 months. I do want to make clear that if there are any parents watching this, you do not need to get hung up on these descriptors that I'm going to be talking about. This is just a general guide for practitioners so that we know what to look for, but children do develop at different rates, so if you see this and your child isn't hitting some of these certain descriptors or milestones, I don't want you to be really concerned. Before we get started, don't forget to click that subscribe button, and if you do find this video helpful at any point, please give it a like as it really helps out the channel. Okay, let's have a look at the first area of development. Prime areas. Personal, social and emotional development. Making relationships. Seeks to gain attention in a variety of ways, drawing others into social interaction. Builds relationships with special people, is wary of unfamiliar people, interacts with others and explores new situations when supported by a familiar person, shows interest in the activities of others and responds differently to children and adults. For example, may be more interested in watching children than adults, or may pay more attention when children talk to them. Now it's important to remember that with all of these descriptors, the age band that I'm talking about is quite wide, so we wouldn't expect an 8-month-old child to be able to do the same things as a 20-month-old child. So it's more that children will be developing these skills during that time, rather than expecting to do them at any certain time during that 8 to 20-month period. Okay, so for this area, for children who are in a nursery or a preschool or any kind of early years setting, it's important to make sure that they have a key person who they can get to know the most and who knows them the most. It's important to be engaging with the child, being very interactive, playing copying games, and knowing when the child requires more stimulation or is too stimulated, for example when they're turning away and they don't want to be doing or seeing what is in front of them. It's really just getting to know a child well enough to understand their own personal cues. Repeating vocalizations is also really important, and mirroring babies' movements to show that you are really listening to them. Personal, social and emotional development, self-confidence and self-awareness. Enjoys finding own nose, eyes or tummy as part of naming games. Learns that own voice and actions have effects on others. Uses pointing with eye gaze to make requests and to share an interest. Engages other person to help achieve a goal, for example, to get an object out of reach. So this is a lot about making sure that babies understand that they are separate from other people, they are their own person, so playing those kind of games of finding their own nose and their own tummy, things like that can be really beneficial. Also making sure that they have the opportunity to make their own choices where possible. It's also great to follow a baby's lead when they are looking for something or they want to show you something. Personal, social and emotional development, managing feelings and behaviour. Uses familiar adult to share feelings such as excitement or pleasure and for emotional refuelling when feeling tired, stressed or frustrated. Growing ability to soothe themselves and may like to use a comfort object. Cooperates with caregiving experiences, for example, dressing. Beginning to understand yes, no and some boundaries. So it's important to make sure that that key person for this child is always nearby to offer a child safety, that feeling of safety when they might be feeling most anxious. For example, children can often feel very anxious when they are separating from a parent or carer, and it's important to recognise, acknowledge their feelings, as well as reassuring them, and that's where having a key person can really help. It's also important to demonstrate clear boundaries and show that you have expectations which are clear, but of course reasonable for the child's age. Communication and language, listening and attention. Moves whole body to sounds they enjoy, such as music or a regular beat. has a strong exploratory impulse, concentrates intently on an object or activity of own choosing for short periods, pays attention to dominant stimulus, easily distracted by noises or other people talking. So it's important when developing children's listening and attention skills to make sure that you are keeping eye contact when you're having conversations with them, encourage turn-taking in conversations, and also when you're being playful in games like in peekaboo or rhymes, offering them that opportunity to respond to what you're doing and then having them see you respond to what they're doing, and using repeated words and phrases so that children can get used to hearing that sound and understanding what it means. Communication and language, understanding. Developing the ability to follow others' body language, including pointing and gesture. Responds to the different things said when in a familiar context with a special person. For example, where's mummy? Where's your nose? Understanding of single words in context is developing. For example, cup, milk, daddy. So again, this is a lot about making eye contact, waiting for a child to react to something that you've said. Talking to babies about what you are doing, what is happening, so that they can start linking actions to words. Using actions to support your words, like if you wave when you say hello or goodbye. And using and repeating certain words so that babies can start linking that word to its meaning. Communication and language, speaking. Uses sounds in play, for example, broom for a toy car. Uses single words. Frequently imitates words and sounds. Enjoys babbling and increasingly experiments with using sounds and words to communicate for a range of purposes. For example, teddy, more, no, bye-bye. Uses pointing with eye gaze to make requests and to share an interest. Creates personal words as they begin to develop language. So it's important here for adults to tune in to what babies are trying to convey when they are using speech or sounds, as well as the accompanying actions. Show that you really value when a baby tries to use words. For example, if they say baba and you pick up a doll, because you know, because you tune into what they're trying to say, that means baby or doll. When babies and young children do try to use words, make sure that you repeat it back to them the way the word is supposed to be said, so that they can hear exactly how that word is supposed to be said. So you are modelling that language for them, but also showing that you understand what they're trying to say. It's also really important for practitioners to recognise and appreciate the different languages that children might be learning. So if they are speaking a different language at home, maybe speak to the parents about any words that you might want to use while they're in your setting. Physical development, moving and handling. Sits unsupported on the floor. When sitting, can lean forward to pick up small toys. Pulls to standing, holding on to furniture or person for support. Crawls, bottom shuffles or rolls continuously to move around. Walks around furniture, lifting one foot and stepping sideways, cruising, and walks with one or both hands held by adult. Takes first few steps independently, passes toys from one hand to the other, holds an object in each hand and brings them together in the middle, for example, holds 2 blocks and bangs them together, picks up small objects between thumb and fingers, enjoys the sensory experience of making marks in damp sand, paste or paint, holds pen or crayon using a whole hand, palmar, grasp, and makes random marks with different strokes. So we want to be engaging babies in lots of different physical experiences, both indoors and outdoors. That includes things like rocking, rolling, bouncing, splashing. We also want to encourage babies to notice other children and other babies around them. That helps them to start developing their spatial awareness. It's important to be very aware of the fact that babies and very young children do not have much sense of danger when they are really interested in something, so could be completely oblivious to the fact that there are other children charging around them, or there might be something that could fall on them, for example. So it's really important that you are noticing that and keeping an eye on them. And it's really important to model how children can make marks in things like paint or dough. Physical development, health and self-care. Opens mouth for spoon, holds own bottle or cup, grasps finger food and brings them to mouth, attempts to use spoon, can guide towards mouth but food often falls off, can actively cooperate with nappy changing, lies still, helps hold legs up, starts to communicate urination and bowel movements. So we want to be at this point encouraging children to enjoy different foods and especially healthier foods, and you can do this by mixing favourite foods with different flavours and textures. Again, really important to remember that babies have very little sense of danger, especially when they are focused on their own interests or getting something that they want. Specific areas. Literacy, reading. Handles books and printed material with interest. So for this we want to be noticing and developing children's responses to wordplay and finger play and just help them to enjoy looking at books and other printed material. Literacy, writing. So at this age we don't actually have descriptors specifically for writing because children are not at that stage yet, so we focus on those communication and language and also physical development descriptors. That in turn will help prepare them for when they are ready to start focusing on writing. Mathematics, numbers. Develops an awareness of number names through their enjoyment of action rhymes and songs that relate to their experience of numbers. Has some understanding that things exist even when out of sight. So for this we want to be looking at number rhymes like 1, 2, buckle my shoe for example, and also focus on rhythm, so moving with babies to familiar rhythms that they know and encouraging babies to clap or tap out different rhythms. Mathematics, shape, space and measure. Recognises big things and small things in meaningful contexts. Gets to know and enjoy daily routines such as getting up time, meal times, nappy time and bedtime. So this is all about exploring different objects and looking at how some of them can change. So for example, a sponge, if you put it in water, can be squeezed and the shape can change. Also exploring the different characteristics of objects such as a ball, so rolling a ball, helping them to notice the different movements that certain objects can make. Understanding the world, people and communities. So for this we don't have any descriptors for this age group. We focus on communication and language skills as well as personal, social and emotional development. Understanding the world. The world. Closely observes what animals, people and vehicles do, watches toy being hidden and tries to find it, looks for dropped objects, becomes absorbed in combining objects, for example banging two objects or placing objects into containers. Knowing things are used in different ways, for example, ball for rolling or throwing, a toy car for pushing. So for this, playing things like hiding and finding games indoors and outdoors can be very beneficial, as well as planning varied arrangements of equipment and materials so that babies can use them in a variety of different ways, creating a bit of a challenge. Understanding the world. Technology. So again, we don't have any descriptors for this. Instead, we focus on the characteristics of effective learning. So if you'd like to know more about that, I will link a video all about those in the description box below. For technology, we are focusing mainly on playing and exploring and creating and thinking critically. Expressive arts and design. Exploring and using media and materials. Explores and experiments with a range of media through sensory exploration and using whole body. Moves their whole body to sounds they enjoy such as music or a regular beat. Imitates and improvises actions they have observed, for example clapping or waving. Begins to move to music, listen to or join in rhymes or songs. Notices and is interested in the effects of making movements which leave marks. So again, we want to be encouraging children to join in with rhythms. They might be tapping or clapping along, notice the different ways babies move in response to sound, and encourage babies to make marks. This, a lot of the time, is where our messy play comes in. Expressive arts and design. Being imaginative. So here we don't have any descriptors for this age group. Instead, we look at communication and language, physical development, and personal, social and emotional development. We also focus on the characteristics of effective learning. Okay, so that's everything for age 8 to 20 months. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like, as it really helps out the channel. As I said at the beginning, this is part of a series. I'll be going through all of the ages and stages up to age 5 or 60 months. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.